100 years ago, a sudden change started to destroy humanity. It turned the dead into terrifying creatures that fought endlessly against the living. This disaster threw the world into a terrible nightmare. In the middle of all this chaos, people with special abilities, called the Awakened, appeared as humanity's final hope against these mutated monsters. By the year 2145, the mutated beings had come together worldwide, forming a powerful force that cornered humanity into its last stronghold in Hush's capital. In the midst of this turmoil, three individuals stood firm. One was a girl known as a third-order mechanical archer. Next to her was a third-order psychic supporter who grimly stated, "These mutants just keep coming." In front of them, a third-order heavy hammer warrior wielded a hammer and added, "Most of our comrades, who are first and second-order awakened, have fallen. If this keeps up, even we third orders won't last long." As the two charged ahead, the psychic supporter warned, "Be careful. These creatures have more tricks up their sleeves." Suddenly, several monstrous hands reached out and grabbed them. The heavy hammer warrior yelled, "Give me a boost, brother. I'll smash these things to bits." The mechanical archer cautioned, "The slime from these third-order mutants hides psychic powers." The psychic supporter nodded in agreement, saying, "Exactly, we're trapped here." As the monster launched another attack, their eyes widened in fear, realizing, "We're done for." But unexpectedly, the monster was suddenly slashed into pieces. The heavy hammer warrior frowned and asked, "What's happening?" The severed parts crashed to the ground. Their attention quickly shifted as a figure emerged from the chaos. They recognized him as Lord Ening, one of the god-tier talents. He urged them, "Don't be careless." The mechanical archer thanked him, saying, "Thank you for saving us, Lord Ening." The psychic supporter added, "We're so relieved you arrived." But then Ening warned everyone, "There are still mutants right above us." Hearing this, Ening looked up. The psychic supporter remarked, "This is a type we've never seen before. It feels different, and it's unsettling." Without hesitation, the heavy hammer warrior charged forward, shouting, "How dare you stand above Lord Ening? I'll smash you to pieces." With that, he leaped into the air. A demonic eye glared from the monster's waist, shrinking instantly as it spewed tattooed blood droplets from its mouth, splattering everywhere. The mechanical archer trembled as she witnessed the fate of her teammates. Fueled by anger, she gathered her powers and shouted, "Damn it! I'll kill you!" But just as she was about to charge forward, her eyes widened in fear as she sensed the monster's impending attack. In the next moment, the creature struck, leaving her with no hope. She realized she was about to die and accepted her fate. Suddenly, Ening moved in and quickly engaged the monster. He thought to himself, one move took down two top-tier third-order team members. This mutant is not ordinary. He then urged, "You all retreat first. I'll handle it." The mechanical archer heard him and realized, in a fight like this, I'd just be a burden to Lord Ening. She nodded and added, "Be careful, Lord Ening." As she retreated, Ening pushed the monster back with all his strength. Unfortunately, his sword shattered into two pieces. He thought, "Just blocking that attack broke my sword. I see now. This is like the mutants the military has simulated countless times, which were only theoretical, a fourth-order mutant." To fight such a powerful being, he realized, I must unleash my full strength. With that determination, he charged forward with all his power. When they collided, a massive explosion erupted around them. As the smoke cleared, Ening's eyes widened in shock. What? In the next instant, the monstrous being delivered a powerful punch to his chest. His sword slipped from his hands, and he fell to the ground, blood pouring from his mouth. So, this is a fourth order? It seems we humans know nothing about the power of a fourth order. I'm going to die. I failed to protect this world. I didn't want it to end like this. The observers trembled in fear. The last hope for the HHA war zone, the god-tier talent Ening, has actually lost. With such powerful forces against us, how long can we hold out? If only we had found Ening sooner and given him time to grow, maybe we could have prevented this nightmare. There's no other choice now. Let's go down fighting. Then came the command. All defense lines in this war zone are breached. Let the Third Order awaken carry the largest yield nuclear warheads. Even in death, we will die with dignity. Humanity will keep fighting forever. Soon, everything around was destroyed in the blink of an eye. The entire Earth was shattered and annihilated. Morning news broadcast. Today marks the 61st year of the Apocalypse calendar, November 6th. Project 337 for the Safe Zone construction plan is expected to land today. Breaking news. Safe Zone 67 in the EC has been attacked by sea beasts. Local survivors are urged to evacuate immediately. Ening's eyes opened as he thought, "My head's killing me. Wasn't I just defeated and dead?" Looking around, he saw two people talking in front of him. One said, "What do we do?" He seems to be awake. The other replied, "Someone mentioned he couldn't take part in the test because he was infected with a virus. That's why he's been unconscious. But they're testing outside right now. If he causes any trouble later, we'll have to kill him. The money's already been taken." The first person nodded. "Right, he's just a nobody, not a descendant of an awakened or anything. If a small fry like him dies, we can just say he turned into a mutant. If he stays quiet, maybe he'll have a chance to survive." Seeing the familiar scenes, Ening thought, "Wasn't this 3 years ago? I've reincarnated back to the day of the talent test. So, the reason I couldn't be tested in my previous life was that someone tampered with it." The people shouted, "Enough talk, kill him." Ening sneered and said, "Not this time." With that, he snatched his gun and charged forward, launching a powerful attack that incapacitated them. The other person frowned as Ening aimed his gun at him, and in an instant, he was taken down as well. "In my previous life, I missed the talent test and survived by scavenging, wandering for 3 years until the military discovered I had a god-tier talent. But by then, it was too late. The Thea war zone had fallen, and without the resources for proper growth, I managed to reach Third Order in just 7 months, but was still far from the strongest. Yet, I foolishly charged in a battle against a Fourth Order mutant. Momzon, I'm sorry I couldn't save you. I regret that it ended this way. But now there's still time. As long as I pass the test and become the strongest, I can save the people who matter most to me in this apocalypse." As Ening moved forward, a notification popped up. The Apocalypse Sword God system is now bound to Ening. Mission content. Please touch the test crystal within 30 minutes to unlock and activate system functions. Failure to touch the test crystal will result in the system disappearing after 30 minutes. Hearing the system notification, Ening's mind raced. This system is entirely different from the standard Apocalypse system that every Awakened had in my previous life. Could this be my golden opportunity? Perhaps due to my reincarnation, something has changed. Well, as long as it makes me stronger, any system will do. Determined, he muttered, "I must hurry to the test and find out who's behind all this." The system announced, countdown, 31 minutes 0 seconds. Suddenly, he focused on something else. A few more people came in and yelled, "Who's there? Show your weapon. An infected has gotten away." The countdown was already ticking down, 30 minutes and 59 seconds. These people closed in on him and commanded, "Stop. Keep your hands visible." Ening quickly assessed the situation, noting that the leader was a low-order Awakened while the rest were ordinary people. He decided that taking the leader hostage was the best course of action to ensure his escape. With swift precision, Ening snatched the leader's handgun and launched a counterattack. He moved behind the leader, using him as a shield, and pointed the gun at his head, declaring, "Don't move. Move, and I'll shoot." The others shouted in protest, demanding Ening let go of their captain. One warned him, "Attacking the military in a safe zone is a capital offense." Ening responded coldly, "Take me to the test square. You've got 3 seconds to decide, or else you die." The group hesitated, unsure how to react. One muttered, "Has this kid lost his mind?" Meanwhile, the leader trembled under Ening's grip and shouted, "What are you doing? An ordinary guy wants to take the test." As Ening pressed the gun harder against his head, the leader relented. "Wait, there might be some misunderstanding. Let's sort this out." Ening remained firm, urging them to move. The leader attempted to calm Ening, saying, "Kid, you're playing a dangerous game, betting on an awakening. But even if you become awakened, you can't escape death. He continued, 100 years ago, in 2042, the apocalypse descended, and the world entered an era of catastrophe. Billions of people died, with barely 1 in 10 surviving. It was then that the first generation of awakened appeared, joining forces with the military to save humanity. Today is an important day to test whether you possess talents. Succeed, and you'll become a combat awakened, tasked with protecting your territory. Fail, and you'll return to an ordinary life. This context highlights the gravity of Ening's situation and the stakes involved in his potential awakening. The leader's words serve as a reminder of the harsh realities of their world and the legacy of the past that shapes their current lives. As the situation escalated, a loud announcement echoed through the area. "Attention everyone, an infected has taken a hostage and entered the test area." Hearing this, the guards turned their attention to the entrance. A scuffle broke out, and several guards were knocked unconscious. Ening stepped forward, holding the leader hostage, and approached the test square. As he walked closer, he could hear a military officer, Lushan, shouting, "Drop your weapon and surrender now. If you don't surrender, you'll be shot on the spot." With everyone now pointing their guns at Ening, he shouted back, "I'm not infected. I don't wish to disturb the awakening ceremony. I'm here to take the test." Lushan ignored his plea and commanded the guards, "Seize him immediately." Ening found himself in a tense standoff, having resorted to taking a hostage in order to gain entry to the test area. Despite his insistence that he was not infected and simply wanted to participate in the awakening, the military officers were determined to subdue him by force. The situation had escalated rapidly, and Ening now faced the consequences of his actions as the guards prepared to move in. As the guards moved forward, Ening maintained his composure and replied, "Under Article 137 of the Safe Zone Regulations, awakened ones are accorded special rights. Violating military orders is a grave offense, but significant contributions can cancel out such offenses." Before he could elaborate, a guard punched Ening in the face, knocking him to the ground. "Awaken? You think you're special?" The guard sneered as Ening struggled to get back up. The situation seemed dire for Ening as the guards surrounded him. Just as they were about to execute him, a supersonic psychic fighter jet roared overhead, arriving at the scene. A powerful figure emerged from the jet, the supreme commander of the military zone, Grand Marshal Xia Hai, a second-order awakened. Xia Hai landed with immense power, exuding an aura of authority that intimidated the guards into stepping back. "Why is the Grand Marshal here?" one guard whispered, clearly unsettled by the unexpected arrival of such a high-ranking official. Xia Hai, surveying the scene, spoke with a commanding tone. "Given the military zone's desperate need for high-level awakened, and since he's willing to bet his life, let's see what he's truly made of. If he fails to awaken, execute him instantly." Ening smiled confidently and replied, "Arranged." Xia Hai ordered, "Let the test begin." Everyone watched in awe, wondering if this ordinary boy could really become awakened. Some doubted it, muttering among themselves, "A commoner becoming awakened? Preposterous." Ening approached the test crystal, his thoughts racing. "In my past life, I was manipulated, missed the test, and made mistake after mistake. But in this life, I'll control my own destiny, starting from this moment." He placed his hand on the crystal, and a flash of light surged from it. A great aura of pressure spread across the area. Xia Hai and Lushan were shocked by the immense power radiating from Ening. The onlookers gasped as they witnessed the power unfolding before them. The system announced, "Testing talent. Current talent, D level." The aura intensified. "Testing talent. Current talent, C level." The crowd murmured in excitement. "His level is rising. Does this kid have a high-level talent?" The system continued, "Testing talent. Current talent, B level." Ening felt spiritual energy filling his organs and sneered. "This feels amazing. This testing crystal can take even more spiritual energy." The aura surged again, and the system declared, "Testing talent. Current talent, A level." The crowd was stunned. A commoner with an A-level talent? That's astronomical. Not even 1 in 10 million could achieve this. Xia Hai remained composed as he observed the unfolding events. The final test result hasn't appeared yet. Could he have even higher talent? The crystal continued to glow brighter, and the system finally announced testing talent. Current talent, S level. A hush fell over the crowd as the pressure around them intensified. Xia Hai's eyes narrowed in realization. No, something's not right. The test isn't over yet, which means this guy, Yining, is an S-level talent. A potential third order awakened. As the tension mounted, Xia Hai barked orders. Deploy ground armor troops for defense. Prevent mutant attacks. Deploy psychic fighter jets for military patrol. Close all routes to the square to non-military personnel and seal the upper airspace. As Yining's power surged, the system announced, talent level, SSS. Xia Hai's eyes widened in disbelief. An SSS-level talent? This is unheard of. The crowd erupted in astonishment, grappling with the implications of Yining's extraordinary potential. The atmosphere crackled with energy as everyone realized that they were witnessing a pivotal moment that could change the fate of their world. The crowd gasped, whispering among themselves, "This is impossible. Not even in the history of the Awakened has anyone reached such a level." The Grand Marshal, trying to maintain his composure, realized the gravity of the situation and ordered his soldiers to tighten the perimeter around the test square. As Yining stood there, absorbing the immense spiritual energy, the pressure in the air became almost unbearable. His mind raced with excitement. I never imagined I'd reach SSS level. This is far beyond anything from my previous life. The system continued its report, announcing, Sword God system activated. Enhanced abilities and unlocked skills available. With each passing moment, the anticipation grew among the onlookers as they witnessed Yining's transformation. The atmosphere crackled with energy, and everyone held their breath, waiting to see just how far Yining's potential would take him. He instructs the system to open the control panel, revealing a blue screen filled with various statistics and performance metrics. Yining meticulously reviews this data to ensure everything is primed for the mission. After a thorough examination, he confirms the mission's completion, feeling a swell of pride as the final results materialize on the screen. Reflecting on his recent progress, Yining realizes that just a month ago, his physical abilities were limited, restricting him to confront only weaker opponents. He remembers struggling even against those of lower skill levels. Now, he understands there is a system capable of elevating his abilities to the rare SSS level. This newfound knowledge ignites his curiosity about how to test this enhanced power. As he ponders this, someone congratulates him on his SS talent, calling him Yining. This recognition strengthens Yining's resolve to explore and push the boundaries of his newfound capabilities, motivating him to discover what he can achieve with this elevated power. Xia, a confident man surrounded by a few others, stands before Yining and asks what reward he desires, assuring him that he will definitely receive it. He repeatedly addresses Yining as Student Yining, but Yining remains silent, causing the people around to wonder about his quietness. One suggests that Yining might still be in shock after awakening his power. Amused by the situation, Xia laughs loudly. Xia puts his arm around Yining and mentions how Uncle Xian was similarly stunned for a long time. He invites Yining to his office for a talk, and Yining agrees with a simple yes. As they walk, Xia explains that Yining was found and brought to them due to his special talent, emphasizing that everyone recognizes his potential. He informs Yining that he has been chosen as the first candidate for the special training program. Once seated in the office, Xia assures Yining that since he has passed the examination, they will provide the necessary resources and equipment. He suggests that Uncle Xian will discuss Yining's talent and how they can help him improve his skills, asking Yining to share his plans. Yining decides to only mention his original talent, the psychic ability of telekinesis, as he cannot reveal his hidden skills. Commander Xiao acknowledges the rarity of psychic talents and suggests that Yining might need guidance from experts in the capital. Finally, Commander Xiao asks Yining what reward he would like, and Yining requests a book on sword skills if possible. Commander Xiao responds positively to Yining's request, stating that fulfilling it is straightforward. He instructs one of his subordinates to retrieve a high-level sword skills book. The subordinate quickly returns with the book, informing Commander Xiao that it is the highest level one available in their reserves. Commander Xiao then hands the book to Yining. Grateful, Yining thanks Commander Xiao and expresses his desire to return home if there are no further matters. Recognizing the significance of Yining's achievement, Commander Xiao asks if he is excited to share the news with his family. He orders a few elite soldiers to escort Yining back safely, ensuring his security during the journey. Before Yining departs, Commander Xiao instructs him to report any issues on the way back and requests an explanation for why Yining almost missed his chance to take the test within the last 24 hours, showing his concern for the situation. His expression turns serious as he awaits the report. The Supreme Commander issues a strict order to arrest anyone involved in the incident, regardless of their identity, stating that they can discuss details later. The soldiers respond affirmatively, preparing to follow orders. Later that night, a military vehicle arrives at a designated safe zone, drawing attention from soldiers and civilians alike. Yining tells the senior soldiers that they can remain where they are and that he can go home alone. As he begins to walk away, a nearby group notices him. One person points out Yining and questions whether he has become important, noting his arrival in a military vehicle. Another advises them to lower their voices, suggesting something significant must have happened since Yining is being escorted by many awakened soldiers. Suddenly, Yining spots someone familiar in the distance and calls out her name, Xiaoqian. Xiaoqian turns around and is surprised to see her brother Yining. "Brother?" she exclaims. Yining softly calls her name, Xiaoqian. Memories flood back, and he feels a wave of guilt for not having protected her in the past. With a heavy heart, he silently asks for her forgiveness. Yining embraces his younger sister tightly, vowing to himself that he will never let her suffer again. Xiaoqian, surprised, asks if he has been in a training camp and how he managed to escape since they haven't seen each other in over a year. With a gentle smile, Yining replies that he has already taken the test. As they embrace, Xiaoqian notices tears in Yining's eyes and asks why he is crying. He wipes his eyes and reassures her that it's nothing. He is just happy to see her. Excitedly, Xiaoqian urges him to hurry home, mentioning that their mother has been very worried about him since he left. Yining agrees, suggesting they go together to surprise their mom. While walking, Xiaoqian holds up a bag, explaining that she was lucky today and found more parts. She suggests they can gather more later, so Yining can have a good meal today. Yining chuckles at her enthusiasm and assures her they will all eat well. Xiaoqian's eyes light up as she asks if there will be meat too. Yining promises there will be plenty, as much as she wants. Filled with joy, Xiaoqian exclaims in delight at her brother's promise. Later, Yining and his family sit around a table laden with food. His mother notices the spread and wonders how Yining's awakening test went since many neighbors have been asking about it. Yining informs her that he passed and is now awakened. His mother is surprised and filled with joy at the news. Xiaoqian, Yining's younger sister, beams with pride, seeing him as the family's pride after passing the test. She excitedly asks if they will now be able to enjoy meals like this every day. Yining reassures her that things will improve for their family. The scene shifts to an exterior view of their home, symbolizing a hopeful future ahead. Inside the house, Yining quietly observes the peaceful scene. The dishes are neatly stacked in the kitchen, indicating that the family has finished their meal. His mother and sister lie in bed together, exuding calm and comfort. Standing at the door, Yining watches over them with a protective expression before gently closing the door behind him as he steps outside. Activating the system to begin learning from his skill book, a blue holographic interface appears before him. The system confirms the completion of his mission and awards him 4 attribute points. It detects a level C stab sword skill and successfully updates it, enhancing Yining's abilities. His sword skill stab is upgraded to level SSS, unlocking a new ability called Sword Storm. As the system completes the update, Yining is enveloped in powerful energy, realizing he possesses extraordinary strength. The system confirms that his skill has been upgraded from C to SSS level, significantly increasing his power. Amazed by this immense power, Ening reflects on how he has never encountered anything like it before. He understands that using this skill requires 450 spiritual power points per use. The system displays additional information about summoning sword strikes that deal 3,500 critical hits and the destructive force of Sword Storm. Ening feels fortunate to have reached this level of power and acknowledges the significant spiritual energy needed for its use. Confident in his current status, he becomes determined to master this skill quickly for future battles. Ening faces a significant challenge as the system restricts him from revealing any details about his upgraded skill, Sword Storm. Understanding the importance of this moment for his candidacy in the special training program, he resolves to keep this information confidential to avoid any complications. Despite these limitations, Ening reflects on the extraordinary nature of his new power, which surpasses anything he experienced in his previous life. He remains focused and determined to wait for the right opportunity to fully harness its potential. Holding the glowing skill book, Ening feels an intense urge to activate his new power immediately. However, he knows he must exercise caution. Suddenly, he sharpens his focus, confirming that the military region is the ideal place to test his ability. A subtle grin forms on his face, signaling his readiness to put his newfound strength to the test when the opportunity arises. Meanwhile, humanity is gradually gathering crucial information about dungeons, enhancing their understanding of these mysterious locations. The military plays a vital role in this effort, dedicating substantial manpower and resources to research and develop test dungeons. These controlled environments serve as combat training grounds for troops, allowing them to simulate battle conditions effectively. Unlike naturally occurring dungeons, test dungeons provide a safe space for soldiers to prepare for real encounters with dangerous creatures. Ening leaves his room and vanishes from sight, determined to head toward the test dungeon. His thoughts are centered on testing his new abilities, contemplating whether he can simply enter a test dungeon to try them out. Dressed in a cloak, he steps out with resolve and moves swiftly through the night toward the testing grounds. The test dungeon facility looms large against the night sky, heavily secured with military vehicles stationed nearby. Ening approaches, ready to put his skills to the test. Upon arriving at the test dungeon facility, Ening requests that a low-level dungeon be opened for him, stating that any type would suffice. The staff member recognizes Ening as the individual who arrived with a letter of recommendation from the commander and confirms that they are authorized to open a dungeon for him. However, the staff member expresses concern, advising Ening against entering the dungeon alone due to potential dangers given his current strength level. They emphasize that it would be safer for him to go in with someone else, highlighting the risks associated with going solo. Ening informs the staff member that he will only enter the test dungeon for a brief test and promises to return soon. As he prepares to step inside, the system activates, surrounding him with blue lights. He is teleported into the dungeon, arriving in an unfamiliar environment characterized by stone walls and dim lighting. The system confirms his entry, and Ening stands ready that he takes a moment to examine his surroundings as the system provides information about the area, identifying it as a city with a low danger level. Reflecting on the dungeon's history, Ening recalls that it was created shortly after the apocalypse. The system issues him a weapon, a dagger, which he notes is weaker than he would prefer, but this aligns with his intention to test his skill rather than rely on powerful equipment. Holding the dagger, Ening feels prepared to put his abilities to the test in this low-risk environment. As he walks through the dungeon, strange noises echo in the distance. His eyes widen as he spots a grotesque creature charging toward him, large, with one glaring eye and a twisted, menacing smile. The creature rushes forward with speed and force, making loud, unsettling noises. Ening remains calm, assessing the situation as his instincts kick in, preparing for the encounter ahead. Ening swiftly dodges the creature, which lunges at him, and counters with a well-timed kick that sends the monster reeling. He demands points for defeating it and follows up with a critical hit, inflicting severe damage. With a grin, he acknowledges his success and decides to move forward. As he continues through the dungeon, Ening feels a surge of confidence from his recent victory. The environment around him is filled with eerie sounds and shadows, but he remains focused on testing his abilities further. He knows that each encounter will help him gauge the true extent of his power. Yuning swiftly slashes down the creature, realizing that even though his current physical state is not optimal, his previously obtained combat skills make the zombies easy targets. He concludes that to truly test his skills, he will have to venture into a more challenging region. Deciding to exit the building through the stairwell, Ing prepares for the upcoming challenges. As he arrives at the square, he strategizes that after passing through the shops, the boss's region must be to the right. Numerous monsters roam the area, but their attention suddenly shifts towards Ing. He swiftly backs off, lamenting that no matter how many normal zombies he kills, his spiritual energy will not increase. Ing climbs over an ambulance, determined to find and defeat the boss. Yuning mutters, "I still need to find the boss, and I have to get rid of you first, before jumping over the boundary." The system prompts him that a peak level 1 mutant, the Corpse Chewer, is approaching. As the monster appears, Yuning sneers and charges forward, warning that if the creature's skills aren't strong enough, it can simply exit the dungeon. With a swift movement, he raises his dagger. The system signals that his skill is ready for use. He unleashes the sword storm, shattering everything in an instant that as the smoke clears. Yuning marvels at how easily he defeated the mutant with just one hit. He reflects that if he hadn't tested this skill, he would never have realized its strength. With this power, even a weak peak level 2 mutant could be eliminated. Yet he is still at level 0. The system announces that he has killed a peak level 1 mutant and obtained 5 spiritual energy points, with a 50% deduction due to being in a test dungeon. Additionally, Yuning acquires white equipment, agile hand gloves. He comments on his experience gained, noting that spiritual stones from the military region are less rewarding than those from normal dungeons, and expresses surprise at receiving equipment from a test dungeon. He wonders where it came from. The system responds, agility +1, speed and shooting stability increased by 15. As Yuning dons the agile hand gloves, he reflects that in this apocalyptic world, even an ordinary level 2 awakened might struggle to obtain a full set of white equipment. Acquiring even one piece is a promising start. He concludes that his mission here is accomplished and feels fortunate to have obtained equipment. Realizing there's no point in lingering any longer, he decides it's time to exit the dungeon and declares, "I'm done. Here's the token." As he departs, the operator speculates aloud. He came out so quickly. He must have been frightened by the zombies, right? Suddenly, someone shouts from behind, "Who let that team into the test dungeon? Didn't I say you can't let them in? This test dungeon is very difficult. How many times do I have to remind you?" The operator responds, "Brother, no team entered. We wouldn't dare." The old man is incredulous and asks, "No one? No team was in? Then how did the mutant die? Even equipment was dropped. There's no way a level 2 awakened got that board to enter this dungeon, right?" The operator explains, "Yuning was the only one in the dungeon just now. He said he was going to test something. Did he mean he was testing if he could beat the dungeon boss?" As Ing strolled through the market streets, he overheard the shopkeepers advertising their wares. One exclaimed, "Selling guns. Give me 7.5 kilograms of flour, and I'll give you 20 rounds of ammunition." Another vendor offered, "Fried mandies, 0.5 kilograms per credit on sale." Ing pondered, "Although I was able to defeat the peak level 1 mutant with ease, the situation is still dire." Suddenly, a figure ahead warned, "Hurry up, the patrol is coming." As the police arrived, they urged, "Scram. Whose child is this? Watch out." At that moment, Yuning remembered, not to mention the disaster a year later. The Heavenly Wing safe zone will become a scorched wasteland, strewn with corpses, due to a large-scale attack by level 3 mutants. In 10 days, a zombie riot will erupt in the urban area of Heavenly Wind City, forming a tide of zombies that will then assail the Heavenly Wind safe zone. The danger hovering over Mother and Sean remains imminent. I must become stronger, faster. At the Central Army Group headquarters of the Capital Safe Zone, an urgent report arrives about the discovery of a level SS talent in the Heavenly Wind Safe Zone. As officials review the report, one questions whether it is a level SS talent and pure blood. Another exclaims that it is a promising find. The figure at the center remarks that Yuning, a level SS talent, has psychic abilities. Given the recent casualties among Level 3 individuals, one individual suggests that this talent is a valuable addition to their ranks. They need to expedite his training and allocate necessary resources promptly. Another proposes that they should consider integrating him directly into the capital military region and appointing him as a commanding instructor. The mustached individual counters that they are suggesting bypassing the impenetrable ravine between levels 3 and 4. That the white-haired individual speaks up, saying that up to now, none of the high-level awakened individuals, whether it's the 4 great commanders or the dozen or so peak level 3 members in the military, even their commander-in-chief, have been able to reach level 4. That's because they weren't trained with the best resources from the very beginning. The one with the mustache nods in agreement, saying yes, starting like this is a good idea and worth trying. The commander announces that level SS talent Yuning has been selected for the seedling program and will be trained as their top prospect. He will be immediately transferred to the capital military region. An individual wearing spectacles interjects, objecting to the decision. The mustached individual inquires about the reason for the rejection. The commander presses, asking why they would reject such talent, and whether the 4th military region is going to start arguing again. A bespectacled individual explains that the last paragraph of the urgent report states someone has awakened a psychic system. In the past 70 years, there has been no level 3 psychic system. Those who awaken a psychic system typically have weak physical abilities and hold auxiliary positions. Without the protection of other awakened individuals, fighting alone is dangerous. Advancing from level 1 to level 2 relies on luck. It is well known that the success rate for promotions from peak level 2 to level 3 is low. The commander acknowledges this, stating that the number of successful promotions is indeed low. He decides to downplay Ying's importance, emphasizing that resources are precious and should not be wasted. The next day, Shanghai ponders the situation regarding candidate Yuning, noting that his selection was denied and his significance has been diminished. He concludes that a psychic system cannot reach level 3 and that Yuning's evaluated potential is only equivalent to level A or lower, indicating he is not highly significant at that moment. A subordinate arrives and asks if they should proceed with the previously decided treatment. Shanghai confirms that it has been confirmed from above that Yuning has no potential, instructing to cancel his original plan and withdraw the personnel assigned to protect him. The subordinate presses on, mentioning that the investigation into who obstructed Yuning's test was halted due to the suspect's suicide. He asks if they should continue pursuing it. Shanghai responds that he initially agreed to investigate because of Yuning's potential, but now that it is gone, there is nothing left to investigate. Later, the subordinate delivers the news to Ying, conveying the expert's final decision. He informs Ying that his potential is only level 2, and the safety zone has canceled his plan. There is no need for him to participate in the seedling program, and all notices have been given. The subordinate then bids farewell. Ying is puzzled by this revelation, as he believes his talent is as high as level SSS. Even if the test indicated level SS, he thinks it should be enough to prove his potential. Suddenly, he realizes the situation. The Heavenly Wind safe zone is currently besieged by a large number of mutants. All awakened psychics are still regarded as worthless, and the fact that an awakened individual cannot reach level 4 due to insufficient psychic stats is not widely known. Ying did not expect this to prevent the seniors from recognizing his true value. Ying contemplates going to the capital and telling them he is a level SSS talent and that psychic awakening is the key to reaching level 4. However, he quickly dismisses the idea, realizing that no one would believe his words. Instead, Ying decides to focus on finding a way to quickly restore his strength to level 3. By then, he believes all these issues will be resolved. He has the Sword Storm, which he considers a much better start than his previous life. Ying resolves to go and start hunting mutants. In the wild forest, others call out to Yuning, asking if he wants to join their team to hunt level 1 mutants for experience. One assures him they will keep him safe. Yuning declines, stating that level 1 mutants do not yield much experience, and with so many people, it would be difficult to gain enough. Edward, angered, responds that Yuning is being ungrateful. He reminds him that the world is vast now that he has awakened and accuses him of having a poor attitude towards their offer of help. Yuning gives Edward a cold look and shouts for him to leave. Edward backs off, feeling unnerved by Yuning's intense gaze, which seems to reflect someone who has faced numerous life-and-death situations. Yuning moves away. He reflects on the Forest of Decay, being one of the most dangerous places outside the Heavenly Wind safe zone. He recalls that there should be 2 level 1 mutants in the deepest part of the forest, one being a peak level 1 mutant. To advance from level 0 to level 1, he needs to kill 3 level 1 mutants. Having already killed a peak level 1 mutant in a test dungeon, he realizes he must eliminate the 2 mutants in this forest to level up. Ening swiftly grabs his gun as he senses a monster approaching from behind. He thinks to himself that he must avoid using the Sword Storm, as it can eliminate enemies in one strike. Instead, he needs to gain psychic experience and strengthen his physical abilities, since those who awaken a psychic system are often physically weak. Ening is determined to change the stereotype held by the seniors regarding psychics, that he believes that not only he, but also others capable of reaching level 3 must find ways to awaken their psychic abilities. Otherwise, it will be too late when level 4 mutants arrive. Ening resolves to make the seniors aware of the importance of the psychic system. As the shots of gunfire echo through the forest, the crows above shift their attention. One kind crow remarks, "Did you hear that? It's gunfire." Another wonders if it could be the young boy they saw earlier. A third crow warns, "It came from near the tree demon. Everyone run! Don't look for gains. That boy is asking for death." Meanwhile, Ing encounters the demon tree. The system alerts him that a peak level 1 mutant, the tree demon, and a middle level 1 mutant called Binder are approaching. Yuning sneers at the challenge of facing 2 mutants at once. The peak level demon tree arrives. Yuning scans his surroundings and wonders where the other mutant is hiding. The only one he can feel and see is the one right in front of him. Something feels different. As the monster attacked many times, Yuning laughed, "It's really fast." While dodging the demon's strikes and running around, Ing heard the demon asking, "Where did it go?" Suddenly, Ing looked back just as the demon was about to smash him into the ground. He jumped to the side, somehow saving himself, and thought, that huge, heavy body can actually jump, and the second one hasn't shown up yet. Could it be planning a surprise attack? There's no time to run away, no time to think about it. I can only fight back. With that thought, he hit the monster's hand with his gun, making it scream in pain. At that moment, Ing noticed something on the demon's neck. Suddenly, the demon counterattacked and sent him flying back several meters. He shouted, "What I just saw. Our team could easily defeat a middle level 2 mutant, but we didn't expect to face 2 level 1 mutants. All team members were badly hurt, and 2 even died. If the second one hadn't been so well hidden, we wouldn't have ended up like this." In his previous life, an elite military team killed the tree demon and the Binder. Their words at that time made him confused. He always believed that the other one was hiding somewhere, but the truth was right in front of him. The Binder is on the tree demon's body. He discovered that the Binder's roar provides a power boost to the tree demon. However, this boost does not last very long, and when it refreshes, the tree demon takes a step back. Its movements do not change. It still attacks in the same way as before. If I'm right, it will jump to my side again. Now that he has figured out your plan, this trick has become his biggest weakness, Binder. With that, he dashes at the demon tree and instantly shatters the Binder with his dagger, piercing it inch by inch. As the Binder's body bursts, Ing jumps out, having extracted the main part of the Binder. He remarks that when it is not attached to the tree demon, it is ridiculously weak. In the next moment, he crushes the leftover part with his hands. The demon tree screams in pain and instantly attacks. Ing grabs his dagger and counters, shattering the demon tree's hand into multiple pieces. Then he moves forward, saying that who would have thought that without the Binder's buff, the tree demon's strength wouldn't reach peak level 1. As the demon tree sees him approaching, it trembles and becomes scared. While charging forward, Ening observes the demon tree and tells it to stop struggling. He says goodbye to the tree demon. With that, he swiftly slashes the demon tree's eyes, causing them to burst in an instant. The system prompts that Ing has killed a middle-level 1 mutant, the Binder, and gained psychic experience. He has also defeated a peak-level 1 mutant, the Tree Demon, and received additional psychic experience. Furthermore, he obtained several materials: Tree Demon's Bark, white; Dead Tree Armor, white; Giant Claw, white; and a Psychic Fruit, Corpse Fruit X1. Dead Tree Armor, white, has effects that increase the user's constitution by plus 130% and grant 5% resistance to firearms and physical abilities. However, there is a negative effect. When attacked by fire, the user suffers an extra 5% fire damage. The equipment comment notes that the combination of human physique with the tree's support creates strong defense against force-based threats. Yuning thinks that although it wasn't perfect, it is still good combat practice, and he gained something from it. He also considers the Psychic Fruit. The Psychic Fruit, Corpse Fruit, white, permanently increases the user's constitution by 1 point and boosts HP recovery rate by 20%. When asked if he wants to use it, Ing nods in agreement. As the Psychic Fruit appears, his eyes shine with excitement. He reflects that for many awakened individuals, leveling up by a major level typically only adds 4 points. After defeating the 2 bosses, he feels he has improved significantly, and the results are quite satisfying. The 3 individuals were taken aback. The boss's psychic pressure, it's gone, one exclaimed. Could it be from that gunshot? The third person speculated. Is it a level 2 awakened? But there's no one else here besides us and that boy. The brown-haired one responded. That kid felt incredibly sinister when we encountered him before. Could it really be him? That's outrageous. 30 minutes later, in the inner city of the Heavenly Wind safe zone, Yuning entered a shop called Genuine Transaction, High Price Acquisition, located in the section for purchasing mutant materials. The shop owner welcomed him and asked, "Hello, are these the materials you wish to trade?" Yuning placed the bag on the counter and said, "Take all of these and give me a price." At the same time, he thought, while I could use the system's trading channel, I don't want to waste any resources. At this level, I need to be careful with money, so this kind of trade is more suitable for me. The assistant girl greeted him and said, "Hello. For pieces of your materials come from a peak level 1 mutant. They can be used to craft 1 piece of armor and offensive equipment. The estimated price is around 697 credit points. Since this seems to be your first time with us, we can offer you a special price for new customers, 700 credit points. Does that sound good?" Upon hearing the price, Yuning reflected. In this apocalypse, 700 credit points can buy over 200 kilograms of meat or hire 7 to 8 mercenary soldiers. That's an excellent deal. He nodded and replied, "Yes, let's finalize the transaction." The shopkeeper said, "The credit points have been transferred. Please check your account." The shop owner approached respectfully and handed Yuning the card, asking, "We also deal in equipment supplies and firearms. We even offer customizations for any special client requirements. Would you need anything else, sir?" Yuning received the card and inquired, "Do you have any skill books, specifically sword skills?" The shop owner replied, "We do, but their level is relatively low. In fact, the only ones we have here, and in the entire Heavenly Wind safe zone in general, are level D skills." The assistant girl informed him, "We have 3 books. Would you like to purchase them?" As Yuning reviewed the options, the information displayed: Level D skill, Mad Slash, sword skill. Skill effect. After expending a portion of your stamina and psychic energy, a singular power-up attack is launched. It causes 1.2 times strength damage. Level D skill, Sword Cut, sword skill. Skill effect. After expending a portion of your stamina, your attack speed will be accelerated during the first attack. It causes 1.2 times agility damage. Level D skill, Continuous Slash, sword skill. Skill effect. After a significant consumption of your stamina and psychic energy, this skill delivers 2 rapid slashes. Each attack inflicts 0.6 times strength damage and has a chance to cause an additional bleeding effect. After carefully examining all the skills, Yuning thought they're all at the lowest level. None of them are useful. While I don't need to worry about the power of the modified skills from the system, the effects of these modified skills are still closely tied to their originals. I can't just choose any skill randomly. Take the Sword Storm skill, for example. It's incredibly powerful, but it has a short delay in its release. This lack of flexibility is a concern. The area it covers is too large. If I encounter a high-level mutant that is agile in the future, it could easily escape the Sword Storm and then confront me. The shop owner asked, "Don't you like them, dear client? If you're not in a hurry, we can arrange for skill books to be transferred from other safe zones. As long as you're willing to pay the handling fee, we can find level C books. If you don't specifically need sword skills, level B is also available." Yuning replied, "No need for that. I want the sword cut skill." He thought to himself, "I want to see what kind of modifications can be made to an acceleration skill." The shop owner seemed dissatisfied and pondered. Someone capable of selling peak level 1 mutant material is actually interested in these low-level skills? Could it be that he's just rich and reckless? Whatever, there's no point in dwelling on it. With a smile, he said, "Sword cut skill, 600 credit points. Please hand the skill book to our dear client." Yuning took the skill book and said, "Thank you for the purchase." He then left the shop. The shop owner called out from behind, "Take care. Feel free to visit us again anytime." As Yuning walked out, he thought, "I still have 100 credit points left. Let's buy some tasty snacks for Xian." Later, back at home, Xian's eyes lit up when she saw the food, and she asked excitedly, "Brother, why did you bring so many delicious treats again?" Yuning replied, "I'm awakened now. Didn't I tell you last time that good things are coming our way? Well, I picked out these snacks just for you. In the apocalypse, survival is no longer easy, so even having snacks is a huge luxury." Xian said in amazement, "Wow, brother, I heard that only important people can afford to have snacks at home. No one in our area has ever seen snacks before." Yuning patted her head affectionately and promised, "Eat up, because you'll be getting lots of snacks in the future too. I guarantee it." As Xian fell asleep, Yuning murmured, "Mom won't be back from overtime tonight, and Xian is already asleep. Time to learn the skill." He commanded, "Sword God System." The sword cut skill flashed, and the system prompted, "The level D skill book Sword Cut has been acquired. Current skill slots for skill change. Heavenly Light Rift, Sword Cut level SSS." Yuning felt a surge of power coursing through his body. The level D Sword Cut skill had been upgraded to an SSS rank Heavenly Light Rift. After using 4,000 psychic points, an instant slash is launched. This attack receives a boost of 600% in strength and agility, lasting for 1 second. It is accompanied by a powerful sword aura that can cause a limb-crushing effect on the first target hit, with a chance to trigger a critical kill effect. Upon reading this, Ening exclaimed, "A 600% agility boost. Even if it lasts just for 1 second, it can make a significant difference. I made the right choice. Now I need to find a place to test it. Where should I go? Oh, I remember. That place is the best for testing speed." 2 hours later, in the wind outskirts Genuine Middle District, Ening observed, "It seems that whether in my previous life or this one, this area is deserted. Back then, I accidentally found a level 2 mutant hidden here that could almost reach full speed and agility. It also had a piece of extremely valuable blue equipment. Great." His attention shifted when a zombie appeared behind him that in the next moment. The zombie charged forward, showing its grotesque mouth. Ening quickly grabbed his dagger and struck down the zombie. He then said, "Luckily, it was just a zombie. If it had been a crawler, the outcome would have been disastrous. Fighting it in this toxic swamp would be hell, so we need to move to another location quickly." Reflecting on his past battles at his awakening level, Ening remembers facing strong enemies even tougher than these powerful monsters. The scene reminds him of those intense fights. He recalls devastating battles and the strength he once had to defeat formidable foes. If memory serves him right, this chamber held a significant and dangerous enemy that as he surveys his surroundings, Ening wonders if such threats existed in his previous life. Perhaps he hadn't paid enough attention back then. Examining the environment closely, he realizes that materials around him might be useful for setting a trap, that he begins gathering materials, thinking they could serve well in a tactical situation. While working, Ening stays alert, knowing that danger could strike at any moment. Suddenly, a hidden elite mutant appears out of nowhere, rushing toward him with its massive mouth wide open. The creature is huge and moves swiftly through the water as it charges at Ening. He remains focused and thinks quickly about how to react as this new threat approaches. Now facing two mutants at once, Ening feels frustrated by this unexpected challenge, but stays determined. He dodges their attacks, surprised by how much faster they are compared to what he faced before. The mutant's speed and unpredictable movements make it hard for him to fight back effectively. Ening sees the mutant preparing for a strong charging attack. He knows he can only resist it head-on, but the situation feels riskier than he thought. The trap he set up doesn't seem good enough, and the danger from the mutant's attack keeps escalating as the huge creature rushes at him. Ening realizes that this attack is too powerful to dodge. He assesses his options and understands that he came to test his skills, but is now facing a much stronger opponent. The mutant is too fast for his Sword Storm technique to work effectively. To fight back, he needs more physical strength than he currently possesses. Determined, Ening decides to use his skill, Heavenly Light Ray, /Sword Cut, which allows for a quick and precise attack. This technique will help him respond effectively to the mutant's speed and strength. He recalls the skill description, noting that the mutant's attacks come with a sword aura. Although unsure how this ability will play out, he prepares to adjust his movements accordingly. Ening figures that if nothing surprising happens, using the length of his arm along with the shortest reach of the sword aura should allow him to hit both mutants at once, even though the attack is meant for just one target. He gets ready to execute the move perfectly. Ening keeps his focus sharp, watching their every move while realizing that their charging attacks are tough to predict. He prepares himself for this challenge, knowing he must adapt quickly to defeat these stronger, faster opponents. Ening noticed that he managed to take down both mutants in one strike. He observed that his skill had an added effect, which removed the enemy's armor and strengthened his attack. However, he realized that this special effect was triggered unintentionally. Ening recognized that the skill he had just used required more study. Even though it took some effort, he understood that the rewards were worth it. At the same time, someone monitoring the system noticed something unusual and told their team to get everyone ready because of the potential danger indicated by the alarm. A sudden alarm went off in the control room, causing one of the officers to ask why the alert was sounding so unexpectedly. His superior replied that something was interfering with the detection systems and instructed the team to return to the garrison immediately. Minutes later, at the scene of an investigation, a soldier noticed signs of a battle and remarked that it looked like something huge had been there just moments before. Another soldier spotted something unusual and suggested they take a closer look at it. The energy readings showed an unusual fluctuation, leading one soldier to point out that it seemed to exceed the normal levels. He said the current reading suggested the amount of energy was greater than at least 5%. Another soldier noted that to use such a large amount of power, one had to be at a higher level of mobility or risk being paralyzed in place. Realizing the gravity of the situation, they agreed this was indeed an emergency and decided it was beyond their department's authority. They prepared to immediately report the matter to the commander. A group of individuals gathered in the middle of the street, while Ening, standing apart, checked a notification on his screen. The notification confirmed the successful completion of his task. He thought about the value of his new item and hoped to sell it for a good price. Since it was already late, he decided to check online later for more details. Ening posted the item for sale and then checked his messages, finding multiple inquiries. Various users expressed interest, asking if the offer was still available and if the equipment was in good condition. Ening carefully read the messages and began responding to potential buyers, considering one offer in particular. He felt encouraged by the interest and saw this as a chance to make a good deal. As he typed out his responses, he weighed the offers, thinking about which buyer might provide the best price for his item. Ening continued working at his computer, receiving advice from a holographic figure next to him. The hologram explained that if Ening wanted to make a lasting impact, the best option was to start with the swordsman class and focus on upgrading his equipment. The hologram figure emphasized the importance of top-tier equipment for Ening's future success. Ening's superior stressed how crucial it was to secure the best tools, stating that everything depended on it. Ening acknowledged the guidance and agreed to follow through with the plan, ensuring he would take the recommended steps to complete the task. Ening's superior gathered a group of people and addressed them, declaring that all the necessary equipment was present. He commanded them to collect it swiftly and efficiently. Following his orders, the group prepared to complete the task as quickly as possible under his strict supervision. Ening has confirmed that his deposit has been sent, but is concerned that the person who requested the equipment has not yet replied. He wonders if this lack of response is normal. To ensure everything goes smoothly, he decides to make sure all details are perfect for the best possible outcome. The following day, at Heaven Cloud Real Estate Company, an important event takes place. A young woman, who seems to work at a real estate company, kindly greets a client. She asks him what kind of apartment he wants and if he has looked at any places before. She offers to help him find an apartment. Ening and the young girl walk into the commercial center, where a real estate agent greets them. The agent asks what kind of apartment they are looking for and if they have looked around before. Ening says he wants the best property available and asks the agent to hurry because he doesn't have much time. The young girl is amazed by how fancy everything looks. Inside, the agent doubts that Ening can afford anything. She thinks of him as a level 0 customer and believes he couldn't even buy a small part of the properties. Still, she moves forward and suggests that if Ening has the money, they can do a direct transfer right away. She thinks he looks poor and might be wasting her time. The real estate manager doubted Ening's ability to purchase their most expensive property. She noticed he didn't seem to have the money required, which made her skeptical. However, Ening remained calm and asked her to wait for a little while. He had received a message from a buyer the night before who had promised to pay him. The buyer informed Ening that he had managed to collect nearly 40,000 credits, along with some valuable equipment and rare psychic fruits. Ening quickly agreed to this offer, and the transaction was completed immediately. The manager was stunned by how fast Ening secured the funds. Her attitude changed dramatically, and she began to treat Ening with much more respect, even flattering him. She then invited him into the VIP room, a special area reserved for their best customers. After finalizing the deal, Ening handed the estate's key to his little sister, instructing her to bring their mother to the property later. He explained that he had something important to take care of and needed to leave right away. As Ening headed out, he knew he had limited resources left after taking down the climber previously. He understood the urgency to replenish his supplies, so he had to act quickly. The high-level mutants around Heavenly Wind had already been cleared out by the military, leaving only low-level awakened creatures in the area. These creatures wouldn't provide what Ening needed. His only viable option was the Corpse Academy, a dangerous wild dungeon located just outside the safe zone. The dungeon was known to be one of the few places where a psychic fruit could still be found. More importantly, no one had ever achieved the highest rating in the dungeon, meaning the top rewards were still unclaimed. Confident in his abilities, Ening believed that with his skills, he had a real chance of obtaining the rewards that others had failed to reach. As Ening approached the entrance of the dungeon, a notification popped up from the system window, asking him to confirm his entry. He quickly realized he wasn't alone. Other awakened individuals were also preparing to raid the same dungeon. Without delay, the group gathered and selected the most experienced among them to act as the leader. The leader briefed everyone, explaining that this particular dungeon was rated medium to high in difficulty for a level 2 dungeon. He emphasized that in order to have a chance at success, they needed to cooperate and work well together. Clearing the dungeon would require a coordinated effort. As the group prepared, they noticed Ening standing quietly among them. It didn't take long for the leader to spot that Ening was still at level 0. Concerned, the leader walked over to him and asked if Ening had mistakenly entered the wrong dungeon. He reminded Ening that this was a level 2 dungeon, clearly too challenging for someone without much experience. The leader then advised Ening to leave, as the group couldn't take responsibility for him in such a dangerous place. However, he softened a bit, telling Ening that if he chose to stay, he could at least stick with the group to gain some valuable experience. The leader added that Ening, like everyone else, needed these opportunities to grow stronger. In the end, he pointed out that the basic reward for completing the dungeon was only a piece of low-level white equipment. Not much, but still something for someone just starting out. The leader then reminded the group to always take his warnings seriously and never accept a mission impulsively. He shared a story from his past where he had made a mistake during a previous raid. He had underestimated the dungeon and, to his surprise, encountered 2 bosses instead of 1. As a result, most of his teammates had died in that mission. It was only due to the incredible effort and skill of 2 peak level 2 awakened that they barely managed to survive and complete the dungeon. The experience had taught him a hard lesson about the dangers of not being fully prepared. While the leader continued giving his advice, Yining quietly checked the attributes of a special item he had, the psychic fruit. After reviewing its effects, he realized that consuming the fruit would boost his abilities to nearly the same level as an ordinary level 2 awakened. Confident in his skills and feeling reassured by the power boost, Yining believed that he could handle the dungeon's difficulty on his own, even without the help of the group. The leader then informed the group that the protection shield around the dungeon was about to vanish, signaling the start of their mission. He instructed everyone to select the task titled The Fragmented Lady Corpse, which involved facing a boss who was a mid-level 2 mutant. Despite the boss's strength, the leader reassured the group that if all 14 of them worked together, they should be able to defeat it without too much difficulty. The group agreed to his plan and prepared to move forward. As they were about to head out, they were stunned to see Yining suddenly rush ahead, leaving the group behind. His reckless move caught everyone off guard, and many in the group felt he was being impulsive and careless. After all, he hadn't waited for the team or stuck to the formation, which was crucial for their safety. However, the leader remained calm. He told the others not to worry about Yining, pointing out that he was just a level 0 awakened. In the leader's mind, Yining's inexperience would likely lead him to struggle, but he didn't want the rest of the group to get distracted by it. Instead, he urged them to stay focused and not mess up their own formation, emphasizing the importance of teamwork if they wanted to succeed in the dungeon. Yining quickly made his way up the dungeon stairs, fully alert as he encountered several dungeon NPCs, which were actually mutants. These mutants appeared harmless, but Yining's past life experience had taught him otherwise. He remembered how his teammates had tried to help these NPCs before, only for the mutants to turn on them, resulting in their deaths. Not wanting to repeat the same mistake, Yining wasted no time and swiftly dealt with the mutants, moving on without hesitation. He had a clear plan in mind. Yining knew that in order to progress, he needed to confront the Butcher mutant, a key figure in the dungeon. The Butcher held valuable equipment that Yining wanted for himself, so he decided to skip unnecessary fights and head straight to the rooftop where the mutant was likely located. His strategy was simple but bold: defeat the Butcher and use its defeat to lure out the hidden boss. Yining was already confident in his abilities and knew the layout of the dungeon well. His plan involved using one of his most powerful skills, the Sword Storm, to finish both the Butcher and the hidden boss in one fell swoop. The leader gathered the group and reminded them of the strategy. They needed to avoid fighting any unnecessary enemies along the way. He urged everyone to take cover as they advanced, explaining that their goal was to go straight for the boss monster. He was well aware that once they killed the first boss, every other monster in the dungeon would become enraged and go berserk. To avoid being overwhelmed, they agreed they would have to hide and wait for the boss's death-triggered buff to expire before proceeding. As they cautiously moved forward, taking cover and avoiding smaller enemies, one of the female members of the group spotted something alarming. The fragmented lady corpse had appeared. This was the boss they were meant to fight. The leader immediately urged the group to act quickly. Knowing his role as the team's defense type, the leader stepped forward without hesitation, positioning himself to block the fragmented lady corpse's attacks. His shield and defensive skills were vital in keeping the boss's aggression focused on him. While he held off the powerful attacks of the boss, the rest of the group began their assault, sending wave after wave of strikes at the fragmented lady corpse. As the group continued their fierce battle with the fragmented lady corpse, something unexpected happened. In the middle of their attacks, the boss suddenly vanished, disappearing from sight. Before they could react, it reappeared and launched a surprise attack on one of the team members. The sudden strike caught everyone off guard, and the leader immediately took responsibility, apologizing for not controlling the boss properly. Despite the slip-up, he quickly urged the group to continue their attacks as before, reassuring them that they could still handle the fight if they remained focused and coordinated. Meanwhile, Yining was on the rooftop, searching for the Butcher mutant. He had come up with a plan to defeat it and claim its valuable equipment. As he moved around, looking for any sign of the mutant, he decided to check the mission status on his system. To his shock, the mission to kill the Butcher mutant was no longer available. Confused, he wondered who could have completed the mission before him. At the same time, down below, the group was struggling with both the fragmented lady corpse and a new, unexpected threat. Out of nowhere, the Butcher mutant suddenly appeared and launched a powerful attack directly at the group leader. The group was thrown into chaos as they tried to fend off both enemies. It was then revealed that the leader had secretly accepted the mission to kill the Butcher mutant without informing the others. This secret move had drawn the powerful creature to their location, putting everyone in even greater danger as they now had to deal with two bosses at once. Gao Yun, the group leader and a defense type awakened, struggled with one major drawback. He couldn't deal high damage, DPS. Because of this, it was difficult for him to get good equipment when clearing dungeons. His strategy was simple: have his teammates do most of the damage to the boss, then step in at the last moment to deliver the finishing blow. Even if his score wasn't high, he would still claim the equipment as the one who completed the kill. This time, Gao Yun had secretly accepted the mission to kill the Butcher Mutant without telling the group, planning to use the same tactic. However, when the Butcher Mutant suddenly appeared and attacked the group, it threw the team into chaos. Instead of taking responsibility, Gao Yun saw an opportunity to shift the blame. He intentionally accused Yining, claiming that Yining was the one who had taken the mission, even though it was untrue. But Yining was no fool. He had already figured out Gao Yun's plan and knew exactly what was happening. Instead of confronting Gao Yun right away, Yining decided to turn the tables. While Gao Yun was busy dealing with the chaos, Yining accepted 2 other secret missions that involved hidden bosses within the dungeon. He knew these bosses would only appear under special conditions, and he skillfully lured them to where Gao Yun and the rest of the group were fighting. As Yining approached, with the 2 hidden bosses trailing behind him, he called out to Gao Yun, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "Looks like you're having fun with the Butcher. Why not play with all the mutants together?" Yining smirked as the hidden bosses entered the battlefield, joining the already intense fight against the fragmented Lady Corpse and the Butcher Mutant. Gao Yun, the leader of the group, became furious when he discovered that Yining had accepted all the dangerous missions. However, Yining explained that he took on those tasks to act as a scapegoat for Gao Yun, protecting him from the consequences. This explanation only made Gao Yun angrier, and in his frustration, he left the group. Before Gao Yun could get far, one of the team members decided to attack him. This member believed that Yining's actions might lead to his death, and thought it would be better to kill him now, rather than risking the whole team getting involved in something dangerous. However, when the team member tried to strike, he was shocked to find that he couldn't land a hit. He was puzzled as to how Yining was able to dodge his powerful level 2 attack so easily. The other members of the group watched the scene unfold, but one of them, a female team member, was more worried about a different problem. She was concerned about how they could possibly defend themselves against 4 strong level 2 mutants, not to mention the Lord of Corpses, who was at the peak of level 2 and even more powerful. There was a guy in the group who was furious and swore to smash both Gao Yun's and Yining's heads in. He was openly boasting about it, but Yining overheard him. Calmly, Yining told him that all he could do was endure to the end, implying that talk wouldn't change anything in their dangerous situation. Not long after, the group tried using their magic powers. Each member summoned their different abilities, hoping to fight off the mutants. However, their magic didn't work on the mutants, and their energy was quickly running out. Realizing that they were in deep trouble, Yining decided to leave. He thought the best way to escape was to jump down from where they were. He told the others to jump with him if they wanted to survive. At first, the team hesitated. They doubted Yining, thinking he was just a coward trying to run away. But as the situation grew more desperate, they noticed that Yining had already jumped and successfully escaped. Seeing that he made it out alive, they started to reconsider and thought about following him. Gao Yun was terrified at the thought of jumping down after Yining, fearing he might face an even worse death if he did. Instead, he convinced himself that since he was a defense-type fighter, he might survive if he stayed up there. He clung to that belief, hoping that his defensive skills would protect him. However, after Yining made it to the ground, he found himself surrounded by more mutants. From afar, he shouted up to Gao Yun, telling him that he was probably right not to follow him, as now Yining was facing another group of mutants. Despite this, Yining was ready to fight. He summoned his sword and unleashed a powerful magic storm that shook the entire area. The storm was so intense that even the group members who stayed at the top felt its effects, as the winds and power from the storm rattled the place. Everyone was shocked, especially since they never expected such power from Yining, who was only a level 0. His ability to call forth such strong magic left them speechless, as they had underestimated him all along. After the storm finally calmed down, Yining asked the team members if they were all okay. They responded that they were fine, but the atmosphere had changed. They began to give Yining the respect he deserved after witnessing the incredible power he had just displayed. One of the members even bowed to him, asking for forgiveness for underestimating him earlier because he had spoken rudely to him before. Another team member chimed in to correct himself, admitting that he was wrong to refer to Yining as part of the rubbish level 0s he had mentioned before. Yining, however, was not angry with them. He simply reassured them that it was all okay and that he held no grudges. Then, Yining told them they were now free to go find the zombies that had escaped earlier so they could deal with that threat. He reminded them that he had already helped them take care of the mutants. Hearing this, the team members immediately obeyed him and prepared to carry out his orders without hesitation, their respect for him clearly growing. Yi Ning began searching for the hidden blue equipment he had heard about in his previous life, which was supposedly located on a fragmented lady's corpse. As he looked around, he soon realized that the field was far too vast for him to find it easily. Just when he was starting to lose hope, something caught his eye. To his surprise, he spotted the equipment he had been searching for. The system confirmed that he had successfully obtained the blue equipment, identified as the Red Netman skull. Excited, Yi Ning picked up the skull, and the system immediately displayed instructions on how to use it. He learned that to activate its power, he needed to place the skull on his forehead. As he examined the attributes of the skull, Yi Ning noted that it would be perfect for his psychic system. He reflected on why the psychic system was often underestimated. Unlike other awakened abilities, it struggled to condense a move with a clear, destructive power. Yi Ning decided to test the power of the Red Netman skull by placing it on his forehead. As soon as he did, he felt a surge of energy coursing through him, and he realized that the rise of his psychic system was just around the corner. Suddenly, a blue aura enveloped him, and he found himself unable to control the psychic energy flowing through him. It felt exhilarating. He could now make things happen just by speaking. With a command, he shattered stones around him effortlessly, and the aura responded to his thoughts, charging when he wanted it to. Yi Ning was amazed by the skull's power. He knew that as he leveled up, the strength of his abilities would only increase. Curious about the limits of his newfound power, he decided to try using Psychic Examine. To his delight, he discovered that his current range was about 29 meters, which he deemed sufficient for the time being. Shortly after, he received a system notification announcing that all zombies in the Corpse Academy had been eliminated and that he had completed all missions within the dungeon. This meant his exit was now unlocked, and as he prepared to leave, he learned that his rewards would be calculated based on his performance. Excitedly, he received another notification confirming his dungeon completion, revealing that he had attained the highest level possible, SSS. Yi Ning was rewarded with several items: 1 blue equipment, 6 white equipment pieces, 3 free stat points, and a level B skill book with additional stat points. When he saw all these rewards, he realized they were quite generous for him. He also knew that he could easily check out the white equipment online later, so they weren't a priority for him right now. Shortly after, Yi Ning was congratulated on reaching peak level 1. He was then asked to quickly choose his next mission to level up and complete his integration process. However, before doing that, Yi Ning wanted to inspect the blue equipment he had received to see what he had gotten. When he clicked on it, he saw the equipment's attributes, special effects, and skills. One feature caught his attention. It had an additional 10 points of agility increase. This made him wonder if he had now become an agility awakened due to the boost in speed and movement abilities. He was excited and curious about how this would affect his overall performance going forward. Yi Ning decided to equip the new items and prepare himself for the level 2 mission. That evening, he made his way to the Heavenly Wind Mission Center to take on his next challenge. When he arrived, the staff member in charge, a lady at the counter, asked him what kind of mission he wanted. Yi Ning confidently replied that he wanted to take on a level-up mission. The lady, assuming he was leveling up from level 0 to level 1, started to confirm his request. But to her surprise, Yi Ning said he wanted to take all 4 level 2 missions at once. This shocked her, as she thought Yi Ning must not fully understand what he was asking for. Confused, she asked him if he was really just a level 0 before, because what he was requesting didn't make any sense to her. Normally, people don't skip levels, and she tried to explain that to him. The lady also mentioned that only those with a dual system awakening could consider such a thing, and even they had to take missions one by one. She reminded Yi Ning of the strict rules, that if anyone fails a mission, there's always a serious punishment. Yi Ning was well aware of the consequences of failing a mission. He knew that if anyone fails, 50% of their main stat points would be deducted. If he failed all the missions, he understood that it would likely ruin his abilities, turning him into a waste, or worse, lead to his death. Despite this risk, Yi Ning confidently told the lady that he was prepared to live with the consequences. As he spoke, Yi Ning subtly used his magic power to display his strength, boosting his power to the peak of level 1 right in front of her. This shocked the lady, leaving her speechless. She hadn't expected someone of his level to show such power. But Yi Ning, remaining calm, simply asked her if he could now take the missions after proving that he was fully capable. In shock, the lady responded that Yi Ning could proceed with the missions. As Yi Ning stood there, a man approached and instantly recognized him. This man was Huang Xiao, the captain of the investigation unit in the Heavenly Wind Safe Zone. Surprised, Huang Xiao questioned Yi Ning, asking why he was pushing himself so hard. He had assumed Yi Ning was still at level 0 and couldn't understand why someone like him would be there, attempting to take on higher-level missions. Huang Xiao's curiosity grew as he wondered why Yi Ning, who he thought was just starting out, was now aiming for such challenging tasks. He seemed confused by Yi Ning's determination and asked if Yi Ning really understood the risks involved. Captain Huang believed that no matter how hard Yi Ning tried, his psychic system would ultimately lead to disappointment. However, before the lady could explain that Yi Ning was no longer at level 0, urgent news reached Captain Huang. He learned that traces of a level 3 battle had been discovered at the Corpse Academy. The higher-ups had ordered him to assemble all members for an emergency investigation. Once all the members gathered, Captain Huang took charge and organized the team for the mission. Yi Ning stood off to the side watching. A group of awakened individuals made their way toward an abandoned zoo, now a grim location known as Corpse Paradise. The eerie atmosphere did little to deter them as they advanced with purpose. One of the members, clearly curious, asked their commander why they hadn't cooperated with the Heavenly Wind Safe Zone, especially considering that the safe zone had been sending out troops in various directions over the past few days. The member speculated if their mission had the same objective as those from the Heavenly Wind. However, the commander quickly dismissed that idea, saying it's probably not the same thing. This commander, a level 3 awakened and the leader of Zhenjiang District, was Hong Gang. He explained that his focus wasn't aligned with Heavenly Wind's agenda. Instead, he had a personal reason for being there. His son, Hong Xing, had been selected for the prestigious A program. Hong Gang wanted to help his son secure a rare piece of blue equipment, something that would greatly increase his chances of success in the program. Hong Gang went on to explain that they didn't need to show the usual respect to Heavenly Wind anymore. He revealed that the higher-ups had largely abandoned the Heavenly Wind safe zone after the appearance of Yining, who possessed an SS-level talent. Hong Gang then asked if the information is accurate about a mutant which is at peak level 2 and about to reach level 3. His member assured him that the information is accurate about the mutant Corpse Tiger, as it will surely produce blue equipment. The leader gave his orders to his team. He told them to take care of the other mutants while he would handle the Corpse Tiger by himself. With that, the team quickly scattered to follow his instructions. At the same time, Yining was on the rooftop looking at his mission list. He noticed that 2 of his missions were located in an area called the Corpse Paradise. Yining used his psychic ability to look around the area carefully. While he was observing, he discovered that another group from the Zhenjiang district was also interested in the same missions. This made him worried. Among this group, he noticed a level 3 commander. The commander almost spotted Yining, which made him nervous. To avoid being seen, Yining quickly turned off his psychic ability. He couldn't shake off the feeling of concern. He was worried that the Zhenjiang district group might try to rob him if they found him. Realizing he needed to act quickly, he decided to move before it was too late. Meanwhile, the Zhenjiang district group encountered the Corpse Tiger and some bears. Instead of fighting together, each member of their team decided to fight on their own. This way, they hoped to give their commander enough time and space to focus on dealing with the powerful Corpse Tiger. The team worked hard, each member trying to do their part in the battle. Hong Gang stood face to face with the Corpse Tiger, feeling the heavy pressure from the beast. It was clear that this was no ordinary monster. The tiger's decayed body looked horrifying, but its strength was even more terrifying. Hong Gang tightened his grip on his weapon, getting into a battle stance, ready to give it his all. Up in a tree, Yining watched quietly, not wanting to interfere. He knew it wouldn't be right to step in and steal the victory from Hong Gang. After all, Hong Gang was much stronger, and as a level 1 awakened, Yining couldn't take on a level 3 monster like this. But still, he kept a close eye on the fight just in case. He only had one special skill that he could use, but he had to wait for the perfect moment. Hong Gang made the first move, launching a powerful lightning attack at the tiger. Bolts of electricity shot out, lighting up the dark forest. But the Corpse Tiger wasn't easily beaten. It roared back and swiped at Hong Gang, hitting him hard and sending him flying back. Blood ran from a wound, but Hong Gang got up quickly, knowing this was a serious battle. Realizing that his regular attacks weren't enough, Hong Gang knew he had to use his most powerful move, a special technique he had been saving. The Corpse Tiger was too strong and too resilient for anything less. This was his only chance to end the fight. From his perch, Yining could see Hong Gang preparing for something big. He knew this would be the deciding moment. If Hong Gang couldn't take down the tiger, Yining would have to jump in, even though the odds were against him. Then, He used his powerful attack, the Raging Flame Chop, on the corpse tiger, setting it on fire. Meanwhile, his teammates saw that their leader had taken care of the corpse tiger and started running away from the other mutants. Yining, who was watching, was about to join in and fight the other mutants, but noticed that the corpse tiger wasn't dead. It had leveled up to level 3. Yining realized that he had no choice but to take care of the mutant first, as there were two of them, one at mid-level 3 and the other at high-level 3. At the same time, other team members were trying to fight off the mutants, but they looked terrified by the situation. While they stood there, frozen in fear, one of them tried to call Commander Gang's attention to the corpse tiger. Frustrated by the chaos, Commander Gang shouted back, telling them that he could see what was happening perfectly fine and didn't need to be reminded. The pressure was intense, and everyone was struggling to handle the overwhelming situation. Later, Gang detected that someone had stolen his mutant from him, and he knew that for the person to be able to do that, then the person must have been stronger than him, whereby he knew he cannot fight the mutant and the person right then. Instead, he suggested in his mind to just go to the Heavenly Wind Commander Xiao for an explanation. Unknown to Gang, Yining already fought the corpse dog, blood bear, and the corpse tiger, and so he was able to obtain a white crazy blood and some equipment as well. He then decided to check the blue equipment, which was the Resentment Tiger Gloves, which entails its attributes, skills, and some other details as well since it's a weapon. After Yining checked all the equipment he obtained from Corpse Tiger, he then saw the reason why Commander Gang wanted it so much. So he started trying on those equipment to check their powers. Back at the Heavenly Wind safe zone, Captain Xiao was still concerned about the mysterious level 3 mutant, when he thought he actually checked Corpse Academy every time and did not have any clue about that mysterious corpse before. While Captain Xiao was still worried about that one, another member came to inform him about the 2 level 3 psychic energy signals in Corpse Paradise again, after their investigation. This time around, Captain Xiao fled up as he cannot take it anymore, because he was shocked to even hear that they are 2, when he was still thinking about something else before. He did not even understand anymore if it was that their Heavenly Wind had stumbled upon a level 3 nest, for them to be encountering level 3 recently. Captain Huang Xiao has no choice but to put himself together as he told the guy to tell others to gather themselves up as fast as possible, because he knew that if they did not have any clues, then they would be in big trouble when Commander Xiao returned. Before they knew it, Commander Hong Gang came to the zone and shouted at top of his voice, asking for Commander Xiao's whereabouts. But instead it was Captain Huang Xiao who came out to meet him, as he let him know that their commander had gone to the defense line. So he asked him why he was that angry. When Commander Gang saw Captain Huang, he then asked him who he was, as he wanted to know if he was in a position to talk to him. Then Captain Huang introduced himself to be a captain working in the Heavenly Winds Investigation Department, and also that he is a capable worker under Commander Xiao. Therefore, he asked Commander Gang to talk to him, since Commander Xiao is not around, as he might have a solution to it. Then Commander Gang explained to him that when he went to the Corpse Paradise that morning to kill the Corpse Tiger so he could use its equipment for his son, unfortunately, he was robbed by a level 3 from the Heavenly Region. Meanwhile, as Commander Gang was talking, Captain Huang was busy observing, as he later came to his senses that definitely Commander Gang was among the 2 level 3s they detected. But then Commander Gang was expecting Captain Huang to say something, but he did not say anything, so he repeated himself to him, and that Captain Huang later talked that it seemed Commander Gang was wrong, because in the whole of the Heavenly Wind, they only has a level 3, who is Commander Xiao. He wondered how possible it is to have another level 3. With the kind of response Captain Huang gave, it got Commander Gang angry, as he just considered Huang useless. Therefore, he just thought of going to the defense line to ask Commander Xiao himself for an explanation of what happened. Then Commander Gang ordered his guys to follow him angrily, whereas Captain Huang was already finding the Hoke issue very serious, as he saw that he would have to report what happened to Commander Xiao later. So, he went straight to make a call with the commander, as he reported what happened, and even Commander Xiao was angry, because he did not believe that there was another level 3 who was able to steal from Commander Gang. However, Commander Xiao asked Captain Huang to investigate again if there are even multiples of that level 3 hiding in the Heavenly Wind, as he encouraged Captain Huang not to panic or worry at that period. Rather, they should find a solution to what's happening. Immediately, Captain Huang agreed to send out people throughout the whole area to search for records of such equipment sales. At the Education Center for the Youth, Yining was seen as he was checking his system level-up missions, ranging from strength to agility to physical and willpower. And when he checked everything, he saw that there were still 2 missions left, which were the Wind Eagle and the Survival one. So if he was able to successfully complete them, then he would level up. He knew that it was not that hard to get the wings online after all. even though they were rare, but then they're essentially a low-level material, and Yi Ning knew that if someone was lucky enough to get it, definitely they might not have much use for it and may decide to sell it. Seeing the urgency of the situation, Yi Ning decided to request the wings he needed. Almost immediately, someone responded, asking how many he wanted. As Yi Ning studied the person, he realized that they didn't seem particularly skilled or trustworthy. However, he knew that time was critical, so he didn't want to waste any more time arguing with them. Yi Ning told the person he would pay 800 for the wings. The seller, clearly greedy, recognized that 800 was a significant amount, more than what a level 1 could typically earn in a year, but still tried to take advantage of the situation. He first tried to charge Yi Ning 900, then pushed for 1,000. Yi Ning observed that the seller was clumsy and greedy. He realized that a level 1 like him wouldn't be able to obtain the wings directly from the eagle, which made him suspect that this seller had acquired them from somewhere else, possibly in the forest. Frustrated with the seller's unwillingness to accept his fair offer of 800, Yi Ning decided to cut off the deal. He firmly told the man not to bother selling to him again. The seller was surprised by Yi Ning's decision to back out of the deal, realizing he had underestimated him. Desperate to collect the money, he reconsidered and decided to sell the wings for the original offer of 800. However, Yi Ning had already made up his mind. He confidently told the seller that he had changed his offer and would only pay 400 for the wings if he was willing to accept it. Yi Ning knew that if this seller refused, there were plenty of others who would be eager to sell him the wings instead. The man found himself in a tough spot. He hesitated, knowing that 400 was far less than what he had initially hoped to receive, but he also recognized that he had no other option. With a heavy heart and a pained expression, he reluctantly agreed to sell the wings to Yi Ning for 400. With the wings now acquired, Yi Ning knew that his next step was to head to the education center for the youth dungeon. This dungeon was notorious for being different from other combat dungeons, as it was said that no one had ever managed to achieve an SSS rating there. Yi Ning understood that the test in this dungeon wasn't about physical combat. Instead, it focused on psychic abilities. When he arrived at the education center, he was presented with the option to enter the youth dungeon. Without hesitation, Yi Ning pressed the yes button to confirm his entry. He saw this as a perfect opportunity to challenge himself and gauge just how strong he had become, both physically and mentally. As Yi Ning stepped into the dungeon, he immediately noticed a dramatic shift in the atmosphere. The sky changed color, casting an unusual hue over the environment. He wasn't alone. Several other participants were scattered throughout the dungeon. Among them was a woman named Huang Xia, who appeared to be in distress, holding her head as if suffering from a headache. Nearby, a guy named Liang Tengfei stood out, animatedly discussing the peculiarities of the dungeon. He was explaining to anyone who would listen just how strange this place was, remarking that even the teleportation within the dungeon worked differently than anywhere else. His voice carried a mix of excitement and disbelief as he pointed out the odd features of their surroundings. At that moment, a man stepped forward to introduce himself. His name was Li Zhiping, and he was a peak level 1 of the willpower system. He glanced around at the group and asked if everyone present was also of the willpower system. Liang Tengfei quickly confirmed this, expressing surprise that there was another participant who had chosen such a challenging level-up mission. Huang Xia listened carefully to the conversation, well aware of the reputation of those from the willpower system. She knew they were generally considered weak in combat scenarios, often struggling to defend against even ordinary mutants. Even when teaming up with other awakened individuals, they typically fell short and couldn't keep up in battles. However, Li Zhiping tried to reassure her, emphasizing that the dungeon was designed to test their willpower. He acknowledged their weaknesses but expressed confidence that they would have a real chance to succeed if they worked together. Zhiping had already been through 2 other dungeons and believed that experience would be invaluable in navigating the challenges they would face in this one. Just at that time, Zhiping noticed Yi Ning standing behind them. Since he looked like a newcomer, Zhiping asked if he had any objection with what he said. But he replied that he has no objection. Instead, he said he is in a hurry, so he wants them to start immediately. Instantly, the mission showed up before then, as they were asked to find the ghost hidden in Fanghua Middle School and then seal it. As they gave some prompts for the mission as well. But one of them was shocked, as he did not know that there was such a thing like ghosts in that world. But Zhiping calmed them down not to worry, as he explained to them that the ghost is simply the willpower of an individual contaminated by psychic energy before their death. Therefore, he explained further that it is a variant of the willpower attributes, just that those ghosts are still powerful, and not only can it protect itself from physical damage, but can also control the willpower of others. It was Zhiping who was explaining things to them, as he let them understand that they must first go through the building and look for clues according to the mission prompt. So the man warned them not to take actions carelessly if they encounter the corpse, instead that they should just run away or call for help, as he claimed to have a way to deal with it. They all obeyed what he said since they believed in Jeeping. Jeeping asked them to all search the classroom, the archive, and the teacher's officer as well. Therefore, they would be needing 3 groups. But he knew that Xia is weaker, so he suggested that she come with him, while he asked Fei to be with Yuan. Then he told Yi Ning to be alone, but insisted on him to share any information he saw, and not hide it to himself only. Yi Ning was the only one who went to check the archive, and as he checked through, he saw that everything was just empty except for only some pieces of newspaper. But he checked through the newspaper, whereby he saw the details about a teacher who assaulted a female student named Wang Tang, whereby the female student later committed suicide. While he was reading the newspaper, a female ghost suddenly appeared to him, and then he doubted if that ghost was the Wang Tang he just read about. So, Yi Ning tried to use his magic willpower to transform the girl, but instead she managed to run away, and Yi Ning wondered if she did that to test his willpower. Just then, Yi Ning received other members' notification about them seeing 1 or 2 pieces of information, so he decided to drop his own information too. Surprisingly, Jeeping knew about the case of that assault, as he narrated how Wang Fong was assaulted by the teacher, that their family requested for compensation but was unsuccessful. So she committed suicide, and after she did that, she turned into a ghost who created the fire incident that Xia found out about and then later took her revenge. Thereafter, it was said that Taoist priests were the one who came and sealed her according to Yuan's information, just that the talisman had later fallen off. Thereby, their mission was to find it and reseal it. So, Jeeping asked Xia to tell everyone about his idea, so they can assemble at 201 in the dormitory where the fire broke out, as he assumed that the talisman must be there. But then, when Yi Ning saw the man's idea, he considered it to be too simple, as he wondered how the man determined the dormitory. However, others trusted Jeeping that he was right no matter what. But before Fei and Yuan could leave the room where they were, a ghost was already after them, who seemed to be Wang Tang. They tried calling out for help. Meanwhile, others, including Yi Ning, were already waiting for those two, and when they did not see them, Jeeping decided to wait for them outside, while he asked Xia and Yi Ning to go and find the talisman instead. But Xia discovered that the iron door was stuck, so she decided to try to open it with her willpower. Instead, before Xia could even make use of her power, Yi Ning already made use of his own, which shocked both Xia and Jeeping, making Jeeping questioning if that power of his is of the willpower system as well. After Yi Ning made use of his willpower, Xia was able to find the talisman in the room they were in, without even stressing themselves anymore. But Yi Ning, studying the whole thing, tried asking Xia if the clues she found before mentioned about the teacher who were buried to death living in that room. But Xia replied that it did not. Like they were still standing, Fei manages to get to where Ether were as he informed Jeeping that Yuan has already been possessed by the ghost, so Jeeping said he would take care of him. So he just told others to quickly activate the talisman so they can use it to seal the ghost, like he take care of Yuan. Surprisingly enough, Yi Ning volunteered to activate the talisman, which shocked everyone again and made speechless. So, he binded the willpower and Jeeping even told him to be fast with it, so he can seal it. Then, Jeeping tried to move further to do something else, but Yi Ning caught him, as he already found out that Jeeping was actually that teacher Tao who raped the female student, but was actually pretending all the while. Li Jeeping was very upset with Yi Ning. He scolded him, saying that he had made a big mistake by putting the talisman on him instead of on Fang Yuan. Li Jeeping warned Yi Ning that if he wasted the talisman like this, it could lead to disaster, and everyone would be in danger. But Yi Ning wasn't going to let Li Jeeping's anger intimidate him. He pointed out something important. When Li Jeeping attached the talisman to his body, it was actually Fang Yuan who fell down, not him. This made everyone start to pay attention. They began to understand what was really happening. At that moment, it became clear that Li Jeeping was not who he seemed. He was actually a fake ghost. This meant that he had used his willpower to change his appearance. The team realized that Li Jeeping was trying to test their strength and confuse them on purpose. Li Jeeping had originally intended to test Yi Ning first. However, after realizing that Yi Ning was a tough opponent, he quickly changed his strategy and decided to target Fang Yuan instead, who was weaker in willpower. Li Jeeping pretended to battle against a ghost, constantly talking about sealing Fang Yuan. This was all part of Li Jeeping's cunning plan. He wanted to create chaos, make the team fail their mission, and ultimately use the system to eliminate everyone. Seeing through Li Jeeping's ruse, Yining told him to stop pretending now that his power was sealed. He demanded that Li Zhiping reveal his true self as he prepared to attack him. In response, Li Zhiping transformed into the ghost, a sight that shocked everyone. He then asked Yining how he had figured out the truth about him. Yining simply replied to the ghost that since the mission was now over, he didn't feel the need to explain how he figured out Li Zhiping's true identity. The ghost, however, was not finished with him yet. It spoke in a haunting tone, telling Yining that there was a hidden mission in the dungeon. If Yining failed to complete this hidden mission, he wouldn't be able to achieve the coveted SSS rating. Intrigued but cautious, Yining listened as the ghost explained that the hidden mission required him to make the ghost dissipate on his own. This revelation changed the stakes. The ghost then pressed Yining further, demanding to know how he had discovered that it was really Li Zhiping in disguise. Yining's mind raced as he considered the implications of the ghost's interest in his discovery. He realized that if he hadn't known about the hidden mission in the Corpse Academy from his past life, he probably would not have been able to achieve the SSS rating. Back then, he had been overwhelmed with challenging tasks, leaving him little time to explore dungeons like this one. The military had kept him busy with difficult assignments and had not allowed him to come into contact with such mysterious places. Understanding the stakes, Yining reflected on the ghost's desire to learn why he had been exposed. He recognized that the ghost had the potential to awaken intelligence, meaning it could retain its memories if the dungeon were to reset. This meant that if the ghost learned what Yining had figured out, it could refine its plans for the next encounter, making its tricks even more sophisticated. With this newfound knowledge, the ghost could become more dangerous, potentially leading to the demise of more awakened individuals. Yining took a deep breath and began to explain how he had pieced everything together. He mentioned that he had first learned about the hidden mission from the mission prompt. It included a clue that wasn't detailed enough, leaving him to connect the dots on his own. He pointed out that it was the ghost who had assaulted the girl, which made the situation all the more sinister. The ghost nodded in acknowledgement, admitting that Yining was correct, but not entirely right. It clarified that the female ghost couldn't speak until she was sealed, which was a crucial point that Yining had missed. The ghost then explained that it hadn't sent any messages earlier because it had been searching for clues. This was also why it had enlisted Huang Xia's help, to gather more information about the situation. The ghost added that it was natural for the female ghost to linger in the spot where she had been assaulted before her death, indicating that her presence was tied to that tragic event. Yining listened intently and agreed with the ghost's explanation, appreciating its clarity. However, he wasn't finished yet. He wanted to save the most vital piece of information for last. With a determined look, he told the ghost that he wanted it to disappear. He promised that he would reveal this critical detail just moments before it vanished. As the ghost agreed and began to dissipate, it expected Yining to finally reveal the vital piece of information he had promised. However, to the ghost's shock, Yining had tricked it all along. Instead of giving the ghost any real information, he simply claimed that he had just made a lucky guess about everything. The lady was surprised that Yining could actually fool the ghost into believing all he had said, so he told her not to worry about that since they can exit the dungeon now. The lady then asked if he had relied on his guess, which he replied that the ghost's biggest flaw was saying that the talisman is in dormitory 201, but he had no reason to tell him that. She was surprised by his deduction ability, which was even scarier than the ghost, but then she was grateful since she was able to leave the dungeon alive due to his help. Yining got his rating raised to SSS rank and got rewards for the completion of the mission. Later in the evening, he headed over to the Heavenly Wind Safety Zone Mission Center, where he went to submit his mission report. The attendant was shocked that Yining had completed all 4 of the level-up missions. After receiving the rewards and strength boost, Yining is pleased with the pace he is leveling up compared to his past life. Meanwhile, the female attendant is seen as she calls the higher-ups to inform them about Yining's feats. As Yining headed outside, he looked through his stats, which he felt not to be a bad quality for a level 2 awakened, and then checked the level B sword skill he bought the last time, which requires him to get 23 points more needed. He also got the rough estimates of a few 100,000 credits, which would enable him to get the points. He felt that the amount of the credit would be difficult to reach as he had completed all the dungeons in the Heavenly Wind District. The only left is at the junction with Zhenjiang. So, he decided to head over there as he recalled that there is excellent blue equipment which is worth a lot of money. However, he noticed a red whirl phenomenon, which is a sign of a zombie wave. He then recalled that the same zombie actually occurred in his past life, and the time left before it occurs is only a week left. And at the time, the Heavenly Wind Safe Zone suffered through a siege of a zombie wave which resulted in heavy casualties. So, He felt that he should inform Commander Xiao ahead of time in order to take precautions. Commander Xiao is seen as he receives a message from Yining about the zombie wave, which is estimated to occur in a week's time, imploring him to deploy his men as soon as possible to ensure everyone's safety. Commander Xiao does not believe that a zombie wave is going to appear since during the last great battle between humans and the zombie wave 40 years ago. And since then, the world has been peaceful for a long time. Since then, zombies are now trapped in abandoned cities, so he believed that having an outbreak is unlikely, and that rather than wasting resources on unlikely threats, then finding the hidden Third Order in Tianfeng is their top priority. Afterwards, Commander Xiao is seen heading over to the meeting hall with the other officials who inform him that they have found important clues about the mysterious Third Order. One of the officials, Huang Xiao, then gave the commander a report explaining that they have identified the most suspicious person to be Yining. Initially, they could not believe it, so they made a thorough investigation and discovered that it was only Yineng's activity that matches the timeline of the Third Order action, and also he recently bought a spiritual residence, which is something that an ordinary person cannot afford. Despite all these reports, Commander Xiao still finds it hard to believe that Yining is the mysterious Third Order. Another official, Liao Tian, also added that Yining had only been awakened for a week, and that even with an SSS rank talent, it's still impossible to level up so quickly, to which he made an example of General Zhang, who had an SS rank strength and agility, coupled with abundant resources, had only just reached the First Order, so he believed that Yining must have a Third Order backing him up. Commander Xiao also felt that must have been the case, since the military does not favor Yining. It's quite possible for other Third Orders to help him due to his potential as a rare SS rank. So, he decided that they just need to find the mysterious Third Order and make him work for them instead. At that moment, the officials received a notification from the mission center that Yining had just completed 4 Second Order advancement missions. However, Commander Xiao believed that it must be the doings of the Third Order, to which he asked Huang Xiao to send 2 people to monitor Yineng's home and see who's supporting him, and added that they should deploy more personnel to keep an eye on the abandoned cities near Tianfeng to prevent the zombie outbreak. Commander Xiao felt that it's better he take precautions since there is a possibility that a Third Order is supporting Yining and might have also warned him about the impending zombie wave. He then told the officials to get blue equipment for Hong Gang, who has been bothering him about it. Yining arrived at the Death Factory, which was situated at the border between Zhenjiang and Tianfeng safe zones. After seeing that his sword skill had cooled down, he decided to head into the dungeon, to which he agreed to the mission, and then teleport into the dungeon, which requires 15 participants before activating. Death Factory is a war-type dungeon with randomized objectives. The dungeon consists of 7 waves of enemies, and the participants will receive reward for surviving each wave. However, the participants will have a 3-minute vote to exit the dungeon after each wave. And if there is a majority vote of about 70% or higher, then they can exit the dungeon. Otherwise, all the participants will have to complete all 7 waves, to which the first wave will commence in 5 minutes. Yining saw the other participants, to which he realized that a group stood by the side with a Third Order, Lin Lian, as their leader, which surprised him, and he felt that something was going to happen. A Second Order peak level, Zhang Lin introduced himself and explained that their unity is required in this war dungeon, and that he had been thinking of being a team leader, but since there is a Third Order, but he was interrupted by Lin Lian, who attacked and subdued him, and then threatened him to say one more word and be killed. Others were shocked, including Yining. Lin Lian then asked her subordinate to surround the others to prevent them from escaping. It was then one of them realized that they had stumbled into a farming party who were known to use other Awakeners as cannon fodder in the dungeon. They let others fight in front while they reap the benefits. The Awakener thought of voting while they still outnumbered the farming party, but Lin Lian immediately prevented both sides by killing Zhang Lin right away. She then introduced her group as the Blood Wolf Squad, and that she is the captain, to which everyone's lives are in her hands. Meanwhile, she promised to let them go if they survive the 6th wave and hand over all their rewards and credit points to her. However, Yining does not believe her, as he knew that she would never let them go in the first place. He quickly considered his options and felt that he did not know the exact strength of Lin Lian or if she had any protective blue equipment, so he decided to stay low-key and watch how things unfold first. Lin Lian then instructed everyone to introduce themselves, including their ranks and ability, which everyone did, including Yining. She was surprised to see a Second Order beginner in willpower class. She felt that he would be useless, so she did not mind with him as they all proceeded to face the mutants. The first wave consists of 100 zombies and 2 First Order mutants. Meanwhile, Lin Lian and her group do not fight, as they ordered their captives to fight against the wave without holding back in the least, otherwise they will be killed. Song Gang and others were worried if they were ever going to make it out alive. Seeing that they had no other choice, they decided to fight through the first few waves first. The two second-order peak levels decided to face two first-order mutants while the others faced the zombies. Yineng was with the other ranged ability users who felt that Yineng is quite weak as he could only deal with a zombie with an attack, not like him that can deal with multiple enemies with an attack. Even Lin Lian and her group were also finding it funny due to the fact that Yineng dared to come to such a high-level dungeon depth site, being so weak. After dealing with the first wave, in half an hour later the third wave was completed, to which the fourth wave will start in 3 minutes. The two second-order peak levels were worried about the difficulty, which is increasing, that they could feel that a second-order peak mutant will appear in the next wave, wondering when Lin Lian is going to join in the attacks. However, Lin Lian knew that the second-order peaks are not giving their best, to which she told them all that she won't lift a finger before the sixth wave, so they had better get putting their all in the fight. She is also surprised by the fact Yineng is still alive with no scratches at all, to which he replied that he had been lucky. Meanwhile, the two second-order peak levels felt that Yineng must have a trump card which could be of use later. The fourth wave then began with 400 zombies, a second-order peak, 2 second-order mutants, and 6 first-order mutants, which is many times tougher than the previous waves. The two second-order peaks faced the Zombie King, while the second-order advanced dealt with howling female demons, while everyone else dealt with the zombies and the first order. Soon after, one of them got killed while another was critically injured. Yineng realized that they might not make it to the sixth wave, and if that happens, he won't be able to use his trump card, to which he used his blue gear shoes to speed himself up and save the other ranged ability user, and then used telekinesis to take out the second-order mutant in just one hit, and then began to deal with the zombies while the ranged ability user was grateful, and then went on to deal with the other first-order mutant. Meanwhile, Lin Lian was amused that Yineng had some tricks up his sleeves and decided to deal with him in the next round. She told her subordinate to focus on the two second-order peak levels as she sensed that they were planning something. In another 30 minutes, they completed the fourth wave, while the fifth wave will begin in 3 minutes. The two second-order peak levels could see that some of them are dead with an injured melee attacker. They only have 2 big skills each left to deal, but they want to save it for the sixth wave. So, they are waiting for Lin Lian to make a move so they could strike her down together. They also felt that Yineng might have some tricks left which they feel to make sure he stays alive in the next wave, so they could make use of him as long as it does not interfere with their plans. The fifth wave commenced, to which everyone was having a tough time dealing with the waves, including Yineng, who realized that his telekinesis was not working on the centipede mutant, which had a tough shell, so he had to use one of his special skills in order to deal with it. Everyone realized that the farming party had never intended to have them survive to the sixth wave, to which the two second-order peak levels had no choice but to unleash their special skills as they were out of options. Lin Lian smirked as she remarked that they must have been dumb to have believed that they were going to survive in the first place. However, a mutant is seen as it suddenly appeared behind Yineng and then swooped down on him, to which others were shocked, wondering if Yineng is dead. However, Yineng is seen as he suddenly bursts through the mutant with a new armor on his arms, to which everyone is shocked as they see that Yineng had another trick up his sleeves. The two second-order peak levels, Song Gang and Lin Tung, were seen as they immediately assist Yineng by focusing fire on the zombie spider. Soon after, Yineng was able to locate the weak spot of the centipede mutant, to which he immediately dealt with it. Song Gang and Lin Tung were shocked by the fact that Yineng had just killed a high-level monster all by himself. Even Lin Lian was surprised that a beginner with 2 blue pieces of equipment was with them, to which they thought of dealing with him later. So, she told her subordinates that they're going to plunder in the next wave, and that they should not kill Yineng yet, just to cripple him. Song Gang and Lin Tung were seen as they quickly decided to at least deliver a heavy blow on Lin Lian, while they had Yineng kill her off in the next wave. As soon as the sixth wave commenced, Lin Lian also joined in attacking the mutants, as she promised that she would let them off after taking their loot. She faced the second-order peak level berserker, while others faced the rest. While she was battling the mutant, Yineng was able to deduce that she is actually a strength and agility dual class with a speed boost, damage buff, and defense as well, which makes her even more powerful than Han Gang. And he is also certain that Lin Lian must have other tricks up her sleeves. The two second-order peak levels decide to deal with the Blood Butcher while they wait for Lin Lian to come for their kills when she is done, as they plan on attacking her at that moment with everything they got. After she dealt with the Berserker, she charged over to them to kill the Blood Butcher, asking them to distract it so she could get a chance. At that moment, Lin Tung suddenly attacked Lin Lian, who had her back at them. But to everyone's surprise, Lin Lian suddenly switched places with Song Gang, with some kind of damage transfer ability to which Song Gang was hit by Lin Ting's attacks. She actually knew that they might attack her, which made her do that, to which she attacked Lin Ting next and then crippled his right arm. Lin Lian then instructs her subordinates to deal with Yining and the two while she finishes off the zombie golem. Each of the subordinates began to threaten Yining and others to release their credit points and rewards, or they will kill them. Yining is seen as he immediately surrendered, claiming to give them the rewards, but he was trying to stall for time, so the wave will be over. It was then the system notification pops up and asks if the participants want to vote to enter the 7th wave or exit. Yining immediately requested to enter the 7th wave and chose the maximum difficulty, which could be approved without needing a majority vote. Everyone was shocked by the turn of events, to which Lin Lian thought it was Song Gang who activated the 7th wave, which is rumored to have 3rd-order peak-level mutants. At that moment, a huge, powerful mutant appeared and faced Lin Lian, who was shocked, while Yining immediately dealt with her subordinates at the time and asked Song Gang and Lin Ting to run away from there as fast as they could. He then brought his sword out as he remarked that Lin Lian might not be aware that the 3rd-order mutated beasts have spiritual intelligence, so they are smart and love to kill high-level awakeners like her. Seeing that the peak 3rd-order mutant was about to attack her, she immediately made use of her position swap ability with one of her subordinates who was close by, which she survived the attack. Meanwhile, Yining realized that her damage transfer has a range limit, which means she cannot reach him from where she was. However, the mutant is seen as it charged at her with an attack, but she tried to dodge and eventually got hit, to which Yining immediately unleashed his Sword Storm skill on the mutant, which still had Lin Lian with it. He planned on killing both of them with the attack, to which the dungeon is cleared and they would be able to exit in 5 minutes. Both Song Gang and Lin Tung were surprised by the fact that Yining took out a 3rd-order mutant in one shot, to which they wonder what level he is. However, Yining realized that Lin Lian is not dead from the attack, to which he had been able to escape death with a barrier. He tried using his telekinesis to attack, but he could not pierce through the attack. Seeing that the telekinesis won't work, he decided to kill her himself as he drew out his sword, only to realize that he cannot break the barrier, as Lin Lian thought that he must be a hidden 3rd order. She told him to give her a quick death, as she does not want to be humiliated. This made Yining realize that she had not discovered that he is unable to kill her due to the barrier, so he decided to play along and told her to give him all her rewards and credit points so he could ensure she has a quick death, which she did as she had no choice. However, she realized that Yining does not attempt to kill or lay hands on her, to which she felt that he is just a 2nd-order awakener and that the attack earlier can only be used once, which implies that he can never break through her defenses. At the time, they will be able to exit in a few seconds. Meanwhile, Lin Lian planned on finding him later to have her revenge on the humiliation she faced. However, Yining is not bothered as he knows that he would get even stronger before then. After exiting the dungeon and getting rewarded, he realized that he would be able to get those psychic fruits and get all his stats to 25. He got on his bike to go to an inn in Zhenjiang to find some time to practice the B-rank blade skill, Shadow Assault. He planned on checking out the Lost Battlefield the next day in order to get some equipment so he could properly face the incoming zombie wave. As he was riding on his bike, he was stopped by a man who pleaded that he should help them out as their car flipped over. He initially wanted to stop and help, only to realize that he had been tricked, as the man and his group were actually highway robbers, to which he immediately dealt with them. However, he noticed that one of them wanted to escape, so he immediately used his telekinesis dagger to hit the runaway in his foot, only to realize that there is no blood, to which he felt that something is wrong. The man kept begging him not to kill him, saying that he would reveal where others stashed the good LS. However, Yining felt that the man is weird, to which he asked what he is exactly.